Hey, afternoon, everybody. Thanks very much for coming. So first of all, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the lands and waterways on which we gather today. We pass through the lands of the Camaragal peoples who have cared for the country for countless generations. We pay our respects to elders, past, present, and emerging, and recognise their enduring connection to land, sea, sky, and community. We honour their wisdom, culture, and resilience. So thank you everyone for coming today for this final year review for Danling. I introduced her panel before I hand over to Danling. John Marshall Reeve is somewhere over in Sydney, so gives his apologies. But in his place, it will be Professor Herb Marsh taking over as Principal Supervisor, and co-supervisors as Professor Teresa Dickey and Dr. Harry Ryan Jang. On today's final year review panel, I'd like to welcome Dr. Geetanjali Bhaskar, and also all the way from the United States of America at the University of Maryland, which is at 10:30 p.m. tonight, Professor David Morris. And we thank you for his attendance too. And they're all capably led by our honorary chair today, Professor Rich Ryan. So without further ado, I will set the transcription on. Danling, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Ricky, and thank you everyone for being here again at the time of the year. And especially thank you to those who came in from different countries and different ages. I mean, these guys and those guys. Yeah, I keep thinking to myself, oh, I must have saved the universe in my past lives to be so lucky and to deserve all of you here and in the process of my PhD. And today it's my final year review, and I'm going to present briefly like what I did in the past 3 years or so. And I'm going to, bear with me, I'm going to share with you why I chose this project and what it is about and how did I do it. Starting with why. So as a teacher who wants to support student motivation and engagement, autonomy supportive teaching stood out to me, apparently, among all those motivation research I read, including self-determination theory, Rich Ryan's studies. And then I was thinking, oh, this is something I want for my students and for my teaching. And I've seen it in theory and in practice done by my principal supervisor, Professor John Marshall Reeve, who has abandoned me for something less important. How dare he? So I've seen it in practice and in theory. And I asked myself, can I do it? If you are thinking who this is, it's the AI version of me. And if you agree with AI, I don't know you. So I keep thinking, can I take the students' perspective when they secretly go on their phones in the class? Can I provide satisfying rationales if they ask difficult questions like, why do we have to come to school? Why do we have to do homework? And can I acknowledge their negative feelings if they are sleepy and not engaged in class? Probably not. So what's this doubt about? And I realized me having this doubt is because of a lack of teacher self-efficacy, which refers to a teacher's confidence in their own capabilities in performing designated teaching behaviors in any unpredictable situation. And in my case, the designated teaching behaviors are autonomy supportive teaching behaviors. And I don't feel like I can do it. So to further develop teacher self-efficacy research, we need to know why it is important. It is important because it's highly associated with many positive outcomes and negatively associated with negative outcomes. And to develop it further, I asked 2 questions in my PhD. First, can intervention increase teacher self-efficacy lead to improved outcomes? And if it can, how can we develop it further? Which means what contributes to a change in teacher self-efficacy? And when we look at what contributes to a change, we are looking at both intervention studies and non-intervention studies. And the first question is answered with a longitudinal randomized control trial, which was presented in my mid-candidature review. And the second question is answered with two meta-analyses, which is the focus of today's presentation. And some of you may wonder, why do you need two meta-analyses? And it's because I want to keep myself busy. Well, seriously, yeah, I want to do two meta-analyses because I noticed that some of the potential antecedents in the interventions might be there might be some other potential antecedents outside of the interventions or not easily manipulated in interventions. So just to be more comprehensive, we meta-analyze non-intervention studies as well. And just to quickly walk you through my study one, which was already done, and when investigating whether whether intervention increased teacher self-efficacy can lead to educational outcomes, we hypothesized that the autonomy supportive intervention would increase both autonomy support and teacher self-efficacy for student engagement at time 2. And the increased autonomy support and teacher self-efficacy would lead to the improved educational outcomes, including job satisfaction and student achievement. And here are the findings. As expected, the intervention did increase both autonomy support and teacher self-efficacy, but only the increased teacher self-efficacy led to the improved educational outcomes. And this study is now published in Teaching and Teacher Education. If you haven't, oh, thank you. I didn't expect that at all. But if you haven't read or cited it, please. That's the whole point. And now let's come to the focus of today, my studies 2 and 3. These two studies are based on Bandura's framework of self-efficacy sources. Bandura hypothesized 4 sources of self-efficacy, which are listed here on the left. But then it is noted that there's also a long list of other potential sources of teacher self-efficacy outside of his framework. So to be comprehensive, I categorized all these potential sources or antecedents into 20 types here. And these two studies will ask 5 questions. First, I ask whether the antecedents in the interventions and non-interventions can increase teacher self-efficacy, which is what the figure is about. If they can, which type of antecedents are significantly and individually associated with the change in teacher self-efficacy, and which one is the most impactful antecedent? Moving on, are there are Bandura's 4 sources all significantly and individually associated with changes in teacher self-efficacy? And are there any other significant antecedents outside of Bandura's sources? I know it's too difficult to get your head around all these. It's the same for me. So if you understand the figures, that's fine. If not, my apologies. Lastly, I also wanted to know if the significant associations between the antecedent and changed teacher self-efficacy is moderated by any variables. So I started my searches together for 2 studies with the same search terms. And we screened over 10,000 studies. And again, thanks to those of you who were involved in the procedure of screening and extracting. I know it was a lot of work and I couldn't have done it without you. And we ended up having over 100 studies in the interventions and 47 studies in the non-interventions. And just to note that these studies don't overlap with each other because of their different research designs. And to be included, they need to have specific antecedents with corresponding specific effects. So although the searches were done together, the analysis for two studies were done separately. So I'm going to present the results from each study separately. For the intervention studies, there were 16 types of antecedents identified, and they involve 104 studies after removing outliers. And this is the forest plot of the pooled effect. I know you can't read it, but I just wanted to point out the overall pooled effect, which is at 0.47, a significant effect. And then I carried on and identified 7 types of antecedents that had a significant individual effect on changed teacher self-efficacy, which included 1 from Bandura's sources and another 6 outside of Bandura's sources. And for the moderation tests, as you can see here, some of the significant associations were moderated by certain variables, and 2 of them were not. So pulling all of them together, we recommended 4 main strategies in interventions to increase teacher self-efficacy, including hands-on skill-based training, collaborative professional culture, reflection, and also vicarious experiences of observing effective teaching. Moving on, for non-intervention studies, we identified 17 types of antecedents from 47 studies. And because some of these antecedents are positively associated with teacher self-efficacy in theory, some are negatively associated. So I divided them into 2 groups and analyzed their effects separately. And as you can see here, I don't know if you can see, only the positive antecedents had a significant effect on later teacher self-efficacy. And here's the forest plot for the positive antecedents. The overall effect is 0.1. And then this is the forest plot for the negative antecedents, which is not significant. And 6 antecedents emerged as significant contributors to change teacher self-efficacy, including 2 from Bandura's sources and 4 from outside of Bandura's sources. So from the non-intervention studies, we can also see what factors in the natural occurring context that contribute to the change teacher self-efficacy. In summary, I've listed all the significant antecedents identified in both interventions and non-interventions here. Some of them might overlap, some of them don't. But what we can take out from this table is that interventions and non-interventions, they do complement and extend each other. For example, we identified another 3 significant antecedents outside of interventions. And the key takeaways from these 2 meta-analyses are, first of all, teacher self-efficacy can be improved in both structured interventions and naturally occurring experiences. And not all of Bandura's sources significantly predicted changed teachers' self-efficacy in our included studies. And there are other significant antecedents outside of Bandura's framework. But we do have to acknowledge that vicarious experiences from Bandura's sources consistently contributed to enhance teacher self-efficacy. So based on these takeaways, here's what I want to do in my future research after my PhD. There are 3 main things, but they have the same goal. I hope I can eventually help myself and other teachers experience a high or strong sense of self-efficacy in any challenging teaching task they are faced with. and then I can confidently say, I can do it. I can be autonomy supportive. I'm not there yet, but hopefully I'll be there soon. And I think I have some extra minutes, and I know we don't get a graduation speech. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank my supervisors. 3 of them are here today, and they can protect me from your questions later. But they might not agree with me on this, but from this team, I've got a father, a grandpa, and 2 sisters. Herb might be thinking, I'm too young to be your grandpa. True, but you know what I mean. So with their support and understanding, my PhD looks something like the beautiful tree in the couch. And I can see them protect me from your questions like this meme here. Okay, like you can do that, Herb. But also, I also wanted to say, if you see any bit of them in me, such as some stubbornness and forgetfulness and bluntness, that's because we are a family. So they gave me all these great qualities that you see, and they take all the credits, and I take the full responsibility for my craziness and silliness. So thank you all very much. And for those of you who have been in this journey with me, I don't get a speech later, but I want to thank you now. And I don't look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Well done, Danling. Thank you very much. You hand over to the chair to take on these responsibilities. Professor Ryan?
I understand my responsibility. Very heavy.
Call it a day.
They begin by asking the committee to begin with their questions, and I think probably we should begin with David because he's the furthest away. Maybe he would begin with their questions.
Thank you. David, first question is yours.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Because last time that was an issue.
Oh, can you say that again? I think you dropped out.
Okay, well, that actually answers my question, unfortunately. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Thanks, Dave.
Okay, good. Overall, really interesting stuff. I mean, this is clearly a lot of work went into this. It's just finding the relevant research alone was a huge undertaking. In both studies 2, studies 3, you identified 13 potential antecedents outside of the 4 sources of self-efficacy. That they changed a little bit, from those 2 studies. A lot of these were activities, right? The teachers engage in rather than sources, like which are the kinds of information they base their self-efficacy on. So some of these activities can lead to the sources.
Yeah.
For example, coaching and mentoring can lead to social persuasions, like encourage, etc., or give you feedback, or they can lead to vicarious experiences. They kind of show you how to do something, right?
Yeah.
Other activities follow the sources. So, for example, in the structured reflections, I may think about a mastery experience, things went really well in that class, etc., or physiological and emotional states like how I felt while I was teaching, etc. So I was wondering if you could talk just a little bit about kind of your rationale, why and how you chose these 13 additional antecedents. Was it based on how researchers themselves defined it in their own studies? Was it your judgment? Was it kind of a panel that you worked with on that? Or was it a combination of those?
Yeah, thanks, David. I think I totally agree with you on.
Did you just forget the question? Oh, yeah. Skip that.
Oh, so
No, I mean,
You go.
me?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know if I can, but I'll try. Correct me if I'm wrong, David. So David's asking the types of antecedents I had in my list. Some of them may like lead to the sources of self-efficacy. For example, coaching or mentoring may lead to social persuasion because to do coaching and mentoring, you have to do some social persuasion in there. And some of the antecedents might come after the sources. So, for example, what's his example? Yeah, like reflection. So when you reflect, you would think about your mastery experiences, things like that. So David is wondering, how did I end up categorizing them in this way? Whether it's based on literature or based on my understanding, or a combination of both. Is that correct, David?
Yes, or like a panel that you used when you were trying to figure out these things that were kind of outside.
Outside. Oh, the
Outside of
panel.
the,
Oh, I
outside of
see.
the,
Yeah.
what, how you described it was outside of the 4 sources of self-efficacy.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So that's something I started thinking about before I did it, and I think that the 4 sources of Banduras are really like very broad terms. I agree with you on this, and when it's transferred into teaching context, it's very abstract. So when you think about mastery experiences in teaching, what is it? And we don't really know. And for social persuasion or vicarious experiences, how do we put it in a more specific way, or a more concrete way in teaching situation or teaching context? So that's something I started with. And when I looked at the literature again, it's the same situation as well. A lot of the time, they don't use the same terms like mastery experiences or vicarious experiences, but in practice, a lot of the time we see a lot of coaching, mentoring, or skill development thingy. But then a lot of these include probably multiple sources from Bandura's sources, or involve different antecedents in there. So I guess the main reason I categorize them in this way is because I want to align them better with teaching practice in general. And then so that when we put them in practice later, we have a specific idea of how it works and what it looks like. And it's not something when people hear, they don't know what it is. And yeah, that's the main reason. And it didn't really have much to do with the panel from the outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really quick question. Do I get a follow-up question, or we really need
No,
to stick to one question?
you get a follow-up
No,
question.
you
David.
don't.
You're
Okay,
good.
good. Okay. On that note, I mean, I actually think that's one thing that makes this a little neat. And I'm going to ask a question that may be surprising for somebody who studies the sources of self-efficacy.
Yeah.
Why do we even look at them? Like, why do we need to look at the effects of the sources? Wouldn't it be more instructive to focus? And I'm playing a little bit of the devil's advocate here. Wouldn't it be more instructive to focus on the specific activities that could potentially influence teachers' self-efficacy beliefs? So those other things that you'd still have the important implications. Like things that I think were really interesting is about skill training, collaboration, coaching, mentoring, structured observations, like the specific things that they're doing, rather than these kind of more general information that they're getting. And that's what also separates this meta-analysis from like Tasha and her colleagues had that great meta-analysis last year, but they combined different activities into several different activities were one source, several different activities were another source. So doing it this way could actually be more useful to administrators, people who work in professional development, et cetera. So what is the added practical value of also including the sources?
Yeah, thanks again for the wonderful question. I do think it is true that. Oh, sorry. Really? To add my cognitive load? So David's second question is, now my thought just got interrupted, but okay, I'll try it again. So instead of focusing on the sources of self-efficacy, why don't we just focus on the activities like skill development or coaching, mentoring, these kind of skills, and wouldn't it be better or easier for the administrative people to focus on the activities to help the teachers. Is that correct? Sorry, David.
Yeah, so people who work in professional development, et cetera, it lends itself so well to practical implications.
Yeah.
So then what is the added benefit of looking at these more general kind of sources of information?
Yeah. So the practical implications and the added value of investigating the effect of these sources. So I guess again, I agree that the practical activities have like great effects already, and they have good implications for the professional development people. It's true, and the added value of exploring these effects of the sources is that a lot of the time, these teacher professional development or teacher training, they focus on developing a skill or focusing on delivering some knowledge to teachers, but then they overlook building teachers' confidence in using these skills and using this knowledge well in their classroom. So with this meta-analytic results, I can tell them, I can show them, okay, so it's fine that you do these practical activities in your interventions or professional development to help teachers, but then teacher self-efficacy or teachers' confidence is also important. So if you could like add some significant antecedents in there to build teachers' confidence alongside, that will be even better, because they can learn the skills, and then they need the confidence to apply the skills in their classroom, and it will maximize or optimize the effects or the effectiveness of your professional development. So that's the added value in there, if it makes sense. And I don't, a lot of the time, teacher professional development, they involve different activities and different antecedents, and that's fine. But if you want to increase teacher confidence alongside, you can add some extra elements in there that's missing in your original intervention. For example, autonomy supportive teaching intervention, it's already a very good skill development intervention. But then if you want to optimize or improve the effectiveness, you can add some other significant antecedents, such as collaboration or reflection that was missing in the original intervention to increase the effectiveness or to focus on building teachers' confidence more. Did that answer your question, David?
That's fine. Okay. Yeah, and thank you, Danling. I appreciate it.
Thank you, David.
Okay, I guess we're going to continue with more questions. It's Geek.
Yeah, Geek, right to go.
You want to take the next one?
Thanks. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I might just have to repeat the question after you. Go for it.
Sounds good. Danling, very well done. The written document was excellent. It flowed really nicely in terms of logic, and it was very clear what you've done with the meta-analyses and just how much work that's involved. So congratulations, and congratulations on your publication as well. That's excellent. So my question to you is, is there anything you would have done differently in your RCT study based on what you know now from the results of the meta-analyses? Or put differently, if you were to redesign an intervention or, change teacher self-efficacy, which you said is your goal, what would be the most important thing that you would focus on now?
Basically, the reflection question is, based upon what you did for your RCT and what you've done now, on reflection, what could anything change?
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Geet, and thanks, Vicky, for repeating the question. It's really something I think I want to focus in my future research as well. If I had the opportunity to do the RCT again, what I would do differently is, like I mentioned before, something like integrating the significant antecedents I found in this meta-analysis that were missing in the original RCT intervention. So I would probably have the teachers work collaboratively more with each other when they are learning about autonomy supportive teaching, because a lot of the time teachers need the collaboration and the vicarious experiences from each other so that they feel more confident or safer to conduct this new teaching practice. I know it's true for myself because if I'm alone in this and I attended this workshop and then I go back to my classroom and use these skills, but then what if I run into issues? What if there's something new that happened in my classroom, but we didn't cover it in the workshop? So I need someone to talk about and someone to ask questions or exchange ideas. So I think collaboration would be the first thing I added into the original RCT of autonomy supportive intervention. And also any or most teacher intervention is either one-time thing, one-off thing, or it's short-term. So you can't be with the teachers all the time. So as a trainer, you can't be with the teachers all the time. So if you build this collaborative culture among teachers, they can keep applying these strategies and then keep exchanging ideas in their daily teaching when you are gone, when the trainer is gone. And also that will help with the implementation, the long-term implementation of the skill or the autonomy supportive teaching strategies that we are trying to teach them about. Yeah. Did that answer your question?
Absolutely. Thanks, Danling.
Thank you.
Okay,
Questions from the committee?
that's it. It's you. Just you.
I only have
Job
one-
done.
I only have one question.
Yeah, good.
I'm really concerned one of your results that had to do with positive affect as an antecedent. I found that kind of an unconvincing antecedent, but then in your explanations, you said when you get the positive affect, because you have high job satisfaction, good leadership, and great school culture, but none of that is part of the Bandura theory of that. So I wonder now that you reflect on that, how would you bring about positive affect as an antecedent?
Well, yeah, thank you. I know you are probably a fan of mindfulness, so I expected that question. Thank you for asking. But yeah, for positive affects, it's found to be significant only in non-intervention studies. And for those studies, they normally measure positive affect with a scale. So most of them are like job satisfaction, joy, enjoyment. So I don't know if where you read about the social support, but
In your piece,
yeah, I think it's
in your explanations, where the positive.
yeah, in my so for job satisfaction and joy and enjoyment, they might come from like you mentioned leadership. So if they have good school leadership or a good school environment, they might feel satisfied at their job. Is that what you're asking?
I guess the question is, are you talking about general
Yeah.
positive affect or state positive affect before you're able to be self-efficacious?
Ah, yeah, that's my my doubt as well, because for like I said, for those studies, they measure positive affect like with a scale, and they measure it at the point of when they take the survey, but then yeah, and then they use the positive affect before they measure teacher self-efficacy to predict the later teacher self-efficacy. So it is a previous state of positive affects, and then teacher self-efficacy was measured later on. But I don't think it's a state. It's not at the moment. It's more like how they feel in general. It's a trait, more like a trait affect, and using these trait affects to predict later confidence. So yeah, I guess it's more in general, not they receive these positive effects from their general environments in their daily teaching. Probably have misunderstood your
Well,
question.
we can talk about this
Yeah,
further, but that the issue is that in self-efficacy theory, it's an attributional issue. Just if you have a positive affect, you're more likely to have a positive evaluation of your mastery in a particular situation.
yeah, okay.
That didn't seem to be aligned with your results, seem to be more general, but.
Yeah, self-appraisal. Yeah, I see what you mean. It's
Other questions, I guess, now from you? Committee?
Mindful of time, the last minute questions? That? Oh, all right. You're on the supervisory committee. So, be gentle.
I'm sorry, our time's up here.
yeah, exactly. Okay.
All right, go for it.
Thanks, Herb.
The tricky issue is where you take theoretical framework and you have these broad global components. And those broad global components capture lots, but they're possibly too broad to be diagnostically useful. And so it's more useful to have more narrow constructs. Now, sometimes these more narrow constructs may fit under the global ones, and sometimes they might be something else. But I think that you've done a nice job of blending between the two and maintaining the broad global ones, but also having the more specific ones that are probably more diagnostically relevant.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good summary. Thank you. And David, I hope that answers your question a little bit as well. But can you also answer Richard's question?
Sure.
Yes.
Part of self-efficacy is feeling good about what you're doing
Yeah.
as well as being effective at it. So for me to have good self-efficacy, not self-concept, self-efficacy about what I can do, it's important for me to be confident or feel that I'm confident, perceive confidence. That's really important.
Yeah.
But the positive affect is also, I don't know whether I can have a positive self-efficacy about something if I'm turned off about it. So I think that liking contributes to self-efficacy.
Yeah.
But it's kind of hard to manipulate liking in an intervention study. Although the autonomy supportive teaching does do that to an extent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. Liking and also feeling healthy and feeling good physically, that helps as well. That's one of the aspects of positive effects or positive physiological. Thanks, Herb.
Okay.
Did that answer your question, Richard?
No.
I knew it.
They can discuss this more in
Yes.
the deliberations. So before we give a final round of applause to Danling, I just have a couple of announcements. One, this is also for the people online. This week, at the end of the week, is daylight savings starting in Sydney. So please remember it's forward, back, whatever the hours is. Make sure you change your daylight savings. Secondly, Monday is a public holiday here in New South Wales. So please, for the PhD students who usually come in, go do your analysis on the beach or something on Monday. The institute is closed. Third, don't tend to like to put it on a sad note, but let's give a minute of silence, a very pause of silence at the passing after 19 years of Keith and Nicole's marriage, which is pretty long in a celebrity's life. But
Oh,
Nick, if I'm here, Nick, if she sees us, I'm here for you.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban.
Ah, okay.
Divorced,
Right.
19 years.
Okay, the Australian celebrity.
Sorry, it's the Australian. Sorry, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
No, so, I'm only kidding. All right, so round of applause for Danling. Thanks very much. All right. So Kent and David, can I ask you to stay online? We're going to transfer you over to the boardroom. Herb, Rich, Teresa, and Harun to the boardroom as well. Thanks very much, everybody. Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Do I have your word for the help?
I promised you.